Everyone, we'll stay on track here, and as I think as we can see as we go along here, there's probably as many, if not more, questions than answers coming up tonight. So this will undoubtedly go on past tonight. So I can see that in our future. Mr. Wilson, you had something you wanted to correct?
One quick correction, Mayor, I appreciate this opportunity. I may have misspoke when I said Austin, Texas has an existing recycling program. I believe they do, but I believe they also have a ban. So they're recycling thin films, but they have banned plastic bags. I'll clarify that and get that information to you guys individually via email, but I didn't want to misinform anything. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, then let's get back into public comments here. Ryan Ashley.
All right. Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'm just here because I'm obviously in support of my friends, and I just, oh gosh. So I want to address the point that was made about personal freedom. In this country we have well, let me start by saying I work for the outdoor industry. Periodically I'll do classes on backpacking and intro to camping. And one of the things that we touch on is leave no trace. So a lot of times when I get a group of people, they've never been out in the outdoors, and I'll show pictures of campsites that I've taken where you show up and the idea is to be out in tranquil nature, and all you see is garbage. And so my involvement in the Leave No Trace is very important to me. So when I hear about personal freedom, I can sympathize towards that. There's plenty of things that are going on these days where we question how much freedoms are being granted versus taken. The United States preamble says that we, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, we establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, and promote the general welfare for ourselves and our prosperity. And I think that's what this is about tonight. It's about promoting general welfare. It's not a question of freedom. Sure, we're free to do a lot of things in this country, but the question is, should we? Should we be using one-time, non-reusable resources that get clogged in rivers and streams and backup sewers and cost thousands of dollars to remove from landfills or recycling plants? I want to know, or I urge members of this body today to question that and really think about it, because personal freedom is one thing, but our responsibility to promote for the general welfare, that's us, that's we the people, and our laws, our Constitution states that. So I just want to leave you with that, and just kind of, I'm a bad public speaker. I'm sitting up here like, what was I going to say? But yeah, I just kind of want to leave everybody with that notion. It's our responsibility, and these bags aren't going away. Thank you.
All right, Adam Dunstan.
Hello, Mayor, members of the council. Thank you for your time. My training is as an environmental scientist originally. I've done some environmental consulting, and I've also studied environmental issues as an anthropologist in Flagstaff for the last several years. So my career involves the environment, and environmental issues are always complex, and nobody's trying to say that they're not. But they're made needlessly complex when there's misinformation given about them. And there's been a few things that have been said against the ban of plastic bags or against a fee on plastic bags that I feel like were slight misinformation that I'd like to address in my few minutes that I have. The first of these is that They've tried to argue that these are not single-use bags, and while I certainly respect that position, it seems like a bit of a red herring, because the fact of the matter is, even if these are reused, they're only typically reused once or twice, right? So arguing that they're not single-use bags doesn't really deal with the fundamental issue. If they're double-use bags or even triple-use bags, these are still made out of fossil fuels that took tens of thousands of years to create, and the plastic bags will be in our environment for tens of thousands of years, causing significant contamination. So the fact that they get used twice rather than once doesn't really deal with the underlying issue. Somebody also said that everybody has a drawer full of plastic bags, and I think that's kind of the point, right? There is some reuse, but most of us have huge drawers with way more plastic bags than we'll ever reuse. And if anyone's worried about running out of them, I'm certainly willing to provide mine, and I think a lot of people would, because I think most people have far more plastic bags than we're ever going to need to reuse. The other issue is that plastic bags, essentially from the grocery store, are thinner, and that the replacement bags you would have to buy for, say, scooping up animal waste would be thicker and therefore worse for the environment, was the statement that was made. Our knowledge of environmental science tells us that this is in fact incorrect. A thinner bag has more environmental issues in several different ways, one of which, as our waste experts were telling us, is that they're much more mobile, so they'll get blown around the countryside and litter more rather than staying placed in a landfill. Another issue is that they photodeteriorate quicker, which means they're more toxic for the aquatic environment. Other things that were said. Yeah, the other, and I think a kind of an overwhelming theme has been people pushing for, let's do a voluntary recycling program, but the data presented by our Sustainability Commission just tells us that overwhelmingly those types of programs are much less effective than an actual ban or fee program. So it's not about trusting or not trusting the citizens of Flagstaff, but rather trusting or not trusting statistics, which tell us that voluntary programs are typically much less effective. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Michael Dugan.
Time isn't counted for limping. Michael Dugan, citizen of Flagstaff. I'm not going to bore you with my biography. Since this issue has come up, I've been noticing litter around town. I take my dogs out in the forest every weekend, and I have to say that there are plastic bags, but there are far more beer cans, plastic bottles, paper bags from fast food places and things like that. So if there are 10 million plastic bags that are used in Flagstaff, there's got to be at least 50 million beer cans. Because every weekend when I go out in the woods, I use a plastic bag and I pick up somebody else's beer cans, vodka bottles, things like that, diapers that are left in the woods. I'm sorry, but that just doesn't seem like a number that is, I'm not saying it's not true, but I'm just saying there's a lot more. And I'm asking everybody to drive around and just look. You don't have to count 1, 2, 3. Just keep in mind, the general mind. The typical scenario for these bags are you go to the store, you buy your groceries, you take them home, you take your groceries out, you put this bag in another bag, or you reuse it, cat litter, dog waste, swimming trunks when you go down to the Oak Creek. There's all kinds of uses for them. So they are, and I agree with the people that say it's a misnomer to say they're single-use bags. They are single-use if you choose for them to be single-use. You can use them as many times as you want to. You can use them 5 times it just depends on how you want to use them. And so for me, the idea of a ban or a fee on a town that already has some of the highest costs for living just doesn't make sense. To me, recycling makes sense. Who doesn't recycle? Anybody? We all recycle. I recycle most of everything I use. So it makes more sense to me for a recycling program. You hear a lot of people say, wow, we didn't know you could recycle these bags at the grocery stores. I've known about that since the bags came out, since they started putting the containers as you're walking in the door. They're right there. You just have to look and see them. As far as, the recycling part, they're used for all kinds of purposes. I've heard people say they use them to make carpeting. They use them to make packaging. They use Trex as a good example for another thing. Another point that I'd like to bring out is that if there are if this is this crucial of an issue, then let's put it on the ballot. Let's not let 7 people on the Sustainability Committee or you guys decide. Let's let the voters decide. Put it on the ballot in 2016, and we'll put it to rest. Thank you.
Thank you. Desi Archer?
Mayor, Council. My name is Desiree Acker, and I'm a senior at NAU. I'm speaking on behalf of the proposed bag ban. I'm in favor of the ban taking place because of the positive impacts on the environment and community. Plastic bans are harmful to the environment, not only in the way they are used, but also where they go after they serve their purpose. Plastic takes over 1,000 years to decompose, with about 10 million bags being sold in Flagstaff every year, many of which end out in our environment. Plastic that is being littered into our environment have negative impacts on vegetation, animals, and even the people. Being from Maui, Hawaii, where plastic bags were banned in 2011, I have personally seen the positive impacts on the community and environment. I have brought with me a picture that was featured in our local newspaper. You all have that in front of you, and I'm going to pass them around. There are 2 pictures that were taken 8 months apart. One is the landfill before the ban, and one is after. You will notice the vegetation has improved greatly, and the litter has ceased around the landfill. As for a community member of Maui, going through the transition of not being able to use plastic bags was a little hard to get used to. But 4 years later, after seeing the positive impacts on our environments, bringing a bag with me to the store is second nature. Thank you for taking your time to listen, and I hope you take everything into consideration.
Okay, thank you. Jeff Nickel?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'm here to support a bag ban, whether it be plastic, paper, both, some sort of ordinance to limit our consumption. One rebuttal I've heard a lot from friends about some sort of ordinance is that we're a tourist town. We rely on tourism to help bring money into our economy. So visitors that don't have reusable bags, what will they do? They'll be able to buy a reusable bag or take advantage of the ample free bags provided by our community. If we go with a fee ordinance, they'll simply pay a small fee for bags that'll generate extra revenue for the business or the city. Also, we have the opportunity to do something very unique. The Lodging and Restaurant Association, Visitors Bureau, Chamber of Commerce, or any other entity can use this as a promotional opportunity and have reusable bags in each hotel room with information about Flagstaff's ordinance to prevent any inconveniences to visitors. The fact is that other towns heavily rely on tourism, or that other towns who heavily rely on tourism, including Aspen, Telluride, and San Francisco, have successfully implemented bag bans, and tourists are still coming. If anything, this will be a way to generate extra revenue for the city and businesses. And my opinion on the recycling of bags is there's one thing that's much more powerful than recycling, and that's not having to use a wasteful product in the first place. Why create the trash or the need for that in industry when we could do what so many people do in this town and other towns and bring your own bag or simply not buy more than you need? So that's my 2 bits, and hope you take it into consideration.
Okay, all right,
Thanks.
thank you. Jeff Knorr?
Mayor, Council, my name is Jeff Knorr. I live at 6744 East Anasazi. I'm speaking tonight because I'm concerned that not all the options have been considering regarding the use of our plastic bags or the reuse. In other decisions I've seen brought before council, there seem to be a range of options. Well, the only options I'm aware of tonight are a ban and or a tax to eliminate or discourage the point-of-sale bags. I had the opportunity to tour the Trex plant in Reno, or Sparks, Nevada, and have been in contact with one of their representatives over the last several weeks. As we've learned tonight, or maybe we already knew, the main resource for the composite decking produced at this plant is recycled low-grade plastic, including point-of-sale bags and sawdust. Trex is actually willing to pay 10 to 20 cents a pound for our trash. They do require a 20,000 pound minimum for a pickup, and they require it to be baled. So I researched commercial balers and found models ranging from $8,000 to $9,000. Trex is also willing to provide a baler, as Mr. Wilson said, on a payment program. I also found some recycling-focused grants available for this type of purchase and for continued public education, maybe to answer one of Coral's questions, though I'm not a grant writer. More good news from Trex is the majority of these bags produced by Helix, a company in Indiana, are made from recycled plastic already, making the term one use slightly questionable. More good news, these bags are made in the United States and actually have a smaller footprint than paper bags. And even more good news is it's not just point-of-sale bags that can be recycled. Any low-grade plastic, such as shrink wrap, cellophane, grocery bags, bread bags, case overwrap, dry cleaning bags, newspaper sleeves, ice bags, wood pellet bags, reclosable bags, produce bags, bubble wrap, salt bags, cereal bags, and pallet wrap can all be recycled, baled, and sold to a company making a green product that also meets our FireWise building standards. Since the ban only addresses a small segment of all the low-grade plastic used, I think if the public were better educated on all the items that fall in the low-grade category, and we put the type of effort towards recycling plastics that we put towards water conservation, we can actually do a better job of reducing litter and plastics in our landfill by improved recycling. To the point that we were geographically isolated, we lie directly between Reno and Phoenix, which is a regular destination for the Trex delivery trucks. I'm not suggesting a $1.5 million upgrade to the plant, but suggesting that we place our bags and all our plastic into one bag to keep it clean and separate and include it in the normal recycle bin. The large bag would need to be sorted, but it would exclude the need for a special pickup run by our trucks. It also seems banning the point-of-sale bags will do little to affect the windblown litter and its expense at the landfill, since that litter includes much more than just those bags. And I, for one, don't believe either my grocery bill or my city fees are going to go down by reducing these bags. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Leah Manick?
Good evening. My name is Leah Manick, and I'm going to speak on behalf of NAU students. A couple of us are standing here, and then I would like the rest of you guys, recent graduates and current students, to stand up in the audience, please. Thank you. One use, two use, three use, reduce. I think that a lot of people in this meeting tonight have talked about using bags one or more times, and I think the most important thing that I've learned in my education is that reducing it is the first step. I've heard reduce, reuse, and then recycle. So on behalf of NAU students, there are 25,000 of us, and we have adapted to a new lifestyle. And it's a quick, pliable future for us. And I think that we have adapted to using bikes and backpacks to carry our heavy loads of books and everything else, our lunches. And the only source of plastic bags on campus is at a bookstore. And I have heard that this company has other locations in places that support plastic bag bans. And there are many offices that are in support of the bag ban as well on campus. We are all aware of this issue at hand, and we have and will continue to let our voice be heard. Our campus is so close to being bag-free, and we expect our city to do the same. Bags do find their way on campus. Today I saw a couple girls with Target bags, and I think that this creates an unhealthy and unattractive atmosphere. It affects students' well-being, and it also affects our enrollment. I think that a lot of photos you see of NAU's campus are bag-free, and if you actually are walking on campus and you see a bag, that's not something that you see. So it is... I guess it would be easy for us to say that bags are not very glamorous. Students are aware of our future, and we expect that you guys consider the impact that they have. as students, we ask you to ban the bag. They clog our drainages, and they clog our futures, and it would be safe to say that we are the future, and we would want it to be clean and responsible. So, thank you.
Great, thank you.
I didn't. Excuse me. I didn't catch the name of the organization because you represent NAU? You said 25,000.
My name is Leah Manick, and I am the student representative for sustainability. I'm
Okay.
with NAU Green Jacks, and it's a branch of the Environmental Caucus on campus.
Okay.
And I'm saying 25,000 students are, I believe, on campus. I don't know if that's the whole enrollment of NAU or actually on
I just didn't know if it was an official position of NAU. I just didn't hear you.
Yeah, okay.
It's not. It's the sustainability.
Is,
The green.
yeah, it is,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. A nice skirt.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alex Gaynor?
Hi, Mayor and City Council. My name is Alex, and I came tonight to deliver you a petition. This petition is signed by 1,432 supporters in support of a bag ban or ordinance as put forth by the Sustainability Commission. And I want to read to you what that petition said. An estimated 10 million plastic bags are given to Flagstaff customers every year. A vast majority are not recycled or reused. Instead, they end up littering and polluting our streets, open spaces, and waterways, placing an unnecessary burden on our landfill and costing taxpayers thousands of dollars each year. The perceived convenience of single-use plastic bags has a price. It is too high. We now have a unique opportunity to address problems caused by disposable plastic bags through a direct ban or a fee in Flagstaff. City Council will be hearing these options today. Join community and student groups, including NAU Green Jacks, NAU Office of Sustainability, Sierra Club Plateau Group, Friends of the Rio de Flag, Friends of Flagstaff's Future, Flagstaff Speak Up, and more in supporting a solution to plastic bags. I ask that you do not make 7 copies of this. In addition to that, there's more than 100 comments that accompanied the petition because you have an option to make a comment. And I want to just mention a couple of those that apply because not all of the petition signatures are from Arizona, although 87% are, and 64% of those signatures are from Flagstaff itself. It's important to note that the other signatures count. All of them count. From Winslow, one comment says, "I'm a rancher and the wind carries plastic bags in the grazing areas where my livestock graze. I had a cow die from swallowing plastic bags. I agree with the ban." Another one comes from Tucson. "I've never had the opportunity to visit Flagstaff, and I'd be really disappointed for it to be trashed by the time I get there." From Flagstaff itself, "I am 14 years old, and I am signing because I believe the system of plastic bags in Flagstaff today is unsustainable." And finally, from Casa Grande, "I'm signing because plastic bags are going to destroy us if we do not do something to stop their proliferation." Thank you for your time, and I hope you consider this petition seriously as it represents your constituency.
Okay, thank you. Stuart McDaniel?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Jeff, welcome. I'd like to speak to the Sustainability Commission's PowerPoint and actually go through that. I had some questions on that and some statements on that presentation that was made, and try to get some clarification on a few of those items. And I just have them broken down by the different pages that were done. First, on page 4, one of the first ones is 10.2 million plastic bags. That's not documented, and the only way we can know how many bags are used in Flagstaff is ask the suppliers of those. The companies actually supply the bags, and whom to our knowledge they haven't been asked. Also, California did pass a plastic bag ban, but it hasn't been put on hold as per a referendum, and they did receive enough signatures across the state of California to put that on hold. we hear about the will of the people, and that is certainly something that is important in our community. So we'll see how that plays out, but as a result, that chart is rather flawed in that regard, and we'll see what happens with that. There are other instances where bags have been banned as well, such as Fort Collins, Colorado, as well as Durango, Colorado, where bags have been banned and then repealed by the will of the city. The Colorado cities are more similar to our communities here, as far as mountain cities that are also heavily tourist areas and smaller communities. So I'm going to skip over a few of these because there's quite a bit. The informal survey, I'm not quite sure what that means, being an informal survey, and how that is statistically significant as far as measurement controls, et cetera. And while 86 might have agreed that plastic bags were a main component of litter, the fact that plastic bags make up less than 1% of litter, according to a study by Keep America Beautiful, hardly, they're certainly an environmental group. There was another study done by the state of California that they measured plastic bags. It was 0.6% of these plastic bags that were in the landfill. So we're not talking about the large amount that these numbers were done, and I certainly have those if you'd like to see those studies. As well, the proposed ordinance is inconsistent. Why exempt many other kind of bags like those used, like many of these bags that are on some of these students? The Arizona Daily Sun, for example, is exempt for that. They claim a subscription rate of 12,000 people. Well, if we've got approximately 60 days of snow or rain, that equates to about 720,000 bags. So it's not a consistent ban. If all the bags are bad, then they're all bad, or they're not. Real quick, that petition, that is a MoveOn.org petition. It is not from Flagstaff. They mentioned Tucson. Tucson decided not to bag those bans, and for multiple reasons, and they are looking for more education on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can we get some of that information?
Absolutely.
You mentioned a couple of groups. I'd like to see that.
Absolutely.
Ms. Barrett.
Well, just to be clear, I don't think that the PowerPoint was presented by the Sustainability Commission. But my understanding is that was put together by staff.
Okay.
Okay, just to be clear.
Fair enough. Sure. Sure. That's fine. Just questioning some of the assumptions.
Ms. Evans.
My question to you would be, do you think that there is an issue?
Absolutely.
Okay, and then
absolutely.
how
But
would
all I'm hearing is either ban it or tax it. And typically I'd like to explore other solutions. Absolutely.
Okay, do you have any solutions that have come from the chamber directly on how to address this issue?
I'd like to explore all of the items that we certainly can. And what I'm hearing is that we're not doing that at this point. So I'd like to continue the conversation to do just that. And I'm grateful for this conversation to have this. I just don't want to see a one-size-fits-all supposed solution, because I don't think that's the case.
But you do think that there is an issue?
Absolutely. We certainly want to get rid of all litter, and that includes, like the other gentleman have said, garbage bags and trash of other types certainly make up a larger percentage of landfills. So I'd like to work in facts, not in emotion, as much as possible. Anything else?
Any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
Michaela Steiner.
Hi, my name is Michaela, and I am a student at Northern Arizona University, as well as a citizen of Flagstaff, and I'd like to speak on my own experience coming from a town that had a successful bag ban, mentioned Boulder, Colorado, as well as a small town that was a tourist town that also didn't have a successful bag ban, and talk about my experience with that, because I saw both happen because I've lived in both locations. And so in terms of Boulder, it was very successful, and it's still an ongoing program. And I would say that Boulder is a pretty touristy town as well. It's a very urban town, and there are a lot of tourists that visit there, and I have personally not seen any problems come of a bag ban. And it really seemed like a non-issue when it passed because, well, in terms of Boulder, it's a fee, and the fee is not extended to people who choose to bring their own bags. And in terms of someone who, I consider myself someone who is probably on the end of low income, I'm still supportive of this ban because it's actually more convenient to me to just have one bag that I can bring everywhere, and I know that a tax won't personally be imposed on me if this is the approach that is taken, at least in terms of Boulder. So speaking as a low-income person, I would like to speak out in favor of this, some type of ordinance around the bag ban. In terms of Durango, Colorado, which is the other town that I have experience with, basically it was put on the ballot for the vote. And then another group was able to, and I'm not exactly sure about the entire legal process, but another group was able to come forward and basically appeal it, but it hadn't been put in place yet. So there's no real opportunity for this ordinance to play out and to see how it would actually be implemented or any of that. It was not even put in place as a program. But I guess in terms of putting it on a ballot, even just doing that or something like that, I think would uphold like basically the democracy and like city council speaking for the citizens and representing voices, or at least the opportunity for people to represent their voices. And, you know, still, even if there is an ordinance in place, there's an opportunity, if that's not what the majority wants, for that majority to still speak up. Also, just in terms of, okay, I'm over time. Okay. Well,
Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sarah Ponticello?
City Council members, Mayor. My name is Sarah Ponticello. Can you hear me? Is this? Sorry. I'm a member of the Sierra Club's Plateau group up here in Flagstaff on the executive committee. And I just wanted to say, even though I'm only at 23 years, I can recall when everything on earth bristled, the bramble pricked, and the green thread nibbled away. The petal fell, falling until the only flower was the falling itself. Water is another matter, with no direction, but its own bright grace runs through all imaginable colors, takes limpid lessons from the stone, and in those functionings plays out the unrealized ambitions of the foam. This is an earth free of plastic bag pollutants. Living on an earth infested with man-made materials that will outlive the last leaf falling pollutes more than a Neruda poem. Seeing plastic bags dulls the bramble and masks the green threads. They halt the flow of our waters and blend the wild colors to a corporate cleansed white or off brown. Recent cleanup efforts have shown the extent of this aesthetically unappealing impact. Your life is your life, but don't let it be clubbed into corporate submission. Be on watch. There are injustices afoot. There is a light here. We may be but a group of citizens instead of an industrial overlord, but we carry this light, and it beats out the darkness of greed and convenient pollutants. We are on the watch. We are here to offer you a choice to ban bags or create some ordinance of the sort. We can't erase plastic, but our light can prevent it from furthering its dampering on our light. The more you help us do this, the more light you bring to our mountain town. Your life is your life. Know it while you have it. Respect it. You are the extension of our voice. We wait to delight in you. Thank you.
Thank you. John Rockefort?
Good evening. Thanks for letting us speak. My name is John Paul Roccaforte. I'm a 23-year Flagstaff resident. I oppose the ban on plastic bags. In my opinion, bans are not an ideal way of solving problems. They often have unintended consequences, and often they do not address the root of the problem. Too many so-called solutions in our society are based on force instead of empowering people to do the right thing. So I think a better approach would be to increase the education efforts about reusable bags and plastic recycling to consumers and businesses. And I think we need a better effort from the city and from the citizens. I think the city should provide curbside recycling for plastic bags and other plastics such as films, wraps, and produce bags. Almost all these plastics can and should be recycled, and the city should be promoting and providing maximum opportunities for recycling plastic. I'm certain the city can figure out a way to sort the plastic at the recycling facility. So just a few statistics just on plastic versus paper bags, because I think that's relevant to the discussion since paper bags would be at the stores. Plastic grocery bags consume 40% less energy to produce and generate 80% less solid waste than paper bags. Paper bags generate 70% more air and 50 times more water pollutants than paper bags. It takes 91% less energy to recycle a pound of plastic than it takes to recycle a pound of paper. It takes more than 4 times as much energy to manufacture a paper bag compared to the manufacture of plastic bags. So I think, there are issues with the production and recycling of paper bags, and I think that's important. So it's my hope that a bag ban will not be enacted in Flagstaff, and that this issue will lead to increased awareness and use of reusable bags and increased plastic recycling in Flagstaff. And so I encourage the city to consider less authoritarian approaches and instead explore more creative approaches to solve problems. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Al White?
Good evening. Happy New Year. Jeff, look what you've gotten yourself into. I think it's great. I'm down here, I really don't have necessarily a stand that says one particular course of action is better than the others. I think that there's a combination of all of the things that have been brought up. The gentleman from the chamber was talking about one size fits all, and I think that there's a lot that we can do to incorporate a number of the things. But I wanted to give you a little bit of a historical perspective. One of the things that wasn't presented in the presentation is, and this was some years ago. Now, because of the presentation, I've got a rough idea when it was, but it was right around the time, Scott, where you were pushing to take council members off of the commission liaisons, and I was the council liaison to the Sustainability Commission when it was changed to the Sustainability Commission and no longer Clean and Green. And so at that point in time, some representatives of the landfill and public works came in and asked us, they said to us that the bags were everywhere, it was a real problem, they were flying over the fence, and this is backed up again tonight with the items furthest into the forest are more likely plastic bags because of the velocity that they can attain. And if we didn't do something about it, the Forest Service was going to require us to bale our bags. Well, I know something about baling, having a recycling company, and you can fill a baler with bags and compress it and do it again and again and again and again and again and again. At the end, you've got a massive bulk of bags surrounded by 6 bands of steel that end up in your landfill anyway. If the purpose of recycling is to divert things from the landfill and extend the life of the landfill, and frankly, I can't wait for you guys to have that discussion of how you're going to start a new landfill, then we've got to take an action. So the commission tackled that issue at the time. They went to the Arizona Grocers Association, supermarkets, outlets, and flags to discuss the range of options. You have what you have today, which essentially, I think, the voluntary concept, which is not really working. So I want to be part of helping you out. I see I'm running out of time here quickly. I kind of know what fuels recycling, and even though some folks have gone to the great lengths to figure out a market for some of these plastics, you still got to get the product to those people, and that involves either recycling it on our level at the MRF, or it involves getting people to recycle. If this had been a serious priority of the council, I don't think we would be having this conversation tonight. And so I'm glad to see that it has become one, and I'm volunteering to help out in any way possible. I know recycling, call me and we can talk about it. And one example real quick, and thanks for giving me 2 extra seconds, and that is Natural Foods over here in Plaza Vieja. They provide no bags at all. You go in there, you either have a bag or you can pick up a box that they'll provide you with there and fill that box up and take that home with you. That box, cardboard, is in demand at our MRF and therefore is a recyclable commodity. So as you ponder all of these things, I'd be happy to help.
Okay. All right, thank you. Caitlin Kellogg. Caitlin here? No? Madison Ledgerwood.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. My name is Madison Ledgerwood, and I am the co-coordinator for the campus and community-based action teams at NAU. There are students working in community gardens on O'Leary Street, and there are more students working on the 6th Street Isabel Garden, working to increase community participation and change the way we think of production and consumption. There are students working at Killip and Kinsey Elementary Schools, providing the experience of design and implementation of projects that aim to solve public problems in our community. There are 3rd graders finding ways to clean up our community and host events. There are students doing door-knocking campaigns, aiming to increase Flagstaff's culture of sustainability. These are just a few of the projects that demonstrate the value and connectedness that action research teams have with the community. We value the quality of life for both people and wildlife. How can we explain having plastic bags contaminating our landscapes, clogging our waterways, filling our landfills, to children hosting cleanups? How can we showcase that Flagstaff is progressing to solve the issues of our time if we are not? How can we how can we say to our students that we value the Flagstaff ecosystem if we ship in bags that are made with millions of gallons of petroleum and that they get caught in our ponderosas? How can we say that we care about our mountain town, our view, and our sustainable culture if we have alternatives to plastic bags and we do not use them? How can we argue the importance of lowering consumption, transportation, and use of fossil fuels to the public if we showcase the opposite by continuing the use of plastic bags? We do not need these plastic bags. We can choose to be the community that reduces our impact, and we can choose to phase out plastic bags. We can be an example to students, to children, to the state, and to our visitors. Our teams and the action research teams are committed to reducing plastic bags, reducing the appeal of plastic bags, and creating more just and sustainable alternatives within the community through investigating the historical and effectual aspects of the bags. They will be working on a public art piece. They will organize community workshops and work with school kids to make reusable bags from different materials. I urge you as the council to go forward with an ordinance to phase out plastic bags and thus foster a more just and sustainable Flagstaff. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Jeff Mylander?
Sorry, I don't know how to use this thing. Okay. Jeff Mylander, Flagstaff Eco Ranch Sustainability Education Center here in town.
I just wanted to be real brief. About 7 years ago, I used to use plastic bags all the time. And I used to clean up dog poop, carry things around, use them for trash. I decided to do a little experiment on myself and see how many bags I could stop using in 1 month. I did that for about a year. It worked out to be about 30 to 50 bags a month, just by using my backpack, remembering to bring a bag, or these handy dandy little structures here, hands, just carrying my products out. From then, I decided that I could start to reuse coffee cups, reusable to-coat containers, reusable water bottles, and that has since reduced my need for using plastic bottles, metal bottles, paper cups, anything like that. And now my daily trash production is anywhere between a quarter of a pound to a half a pound per day, where the average American produces about 4.3 pounds per day. So I think the real conversation when we talk about bags, plastic, paper, if they don't exist, they don't create trash. If they don't exist, they don't block up the recycling center, and they don't cause hundreds of thousands of dollars in issues. That leaves money for other uses, hiring new people, creating jobs. So I think that the real question is looking at this from the standpoint of how do we just stop using everything and stop producing so much waste. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. Joan Harris?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Joan Harris, and I do live here in the city of Flagstaff. And I came with a prepared statement, but I've heard so many good ideas from so many different people tonight that this may be a little disjointed. But what I have learned is that there are lots of options and that we should explore all of our options before we take the step of making the decision for everybody. First of all, I would like to commend the local businesses that have proactively offered us alternatives to plastic bags, reusable shopping bags, asking if we prefer paper or plastic, using paper only, using a recycled plastic bag as one merchant does, or pack your purchases into a cardboard box that they've received in their incoming merchandise in. I think they deserve a lot of credit. They're looking at the situation, and they are in fact offering us alternatives. When we do bring our purchases home in plastic, we have a variety of options, and we've heard those. We reuse, we repurpose, and we recycle. I'm afraid that if we pass a ban on plastic bags, not giving anyone the businesses their options or the individuals, that there's going to be another reason, and that's going to be people are going to resent it. If it comes from their own volition, if they look at the situation and decide that that's what they want to do, I think we'll all be happy with that. So education is where I'm coming from. I've learned something new within the last couple of weeks. I did not know plastic film was recyclable. Now that I know that, I will in fact be recycling it, even if it means taking it to a recycle center. As we do our glass, by the way, perhaps some of these statistics aren't exactly accurate because I don't think we're counted. We bag our own glass and we take it to a recycle center. And let me just share one thing that I have taught my children and my grandchildren about plastic bags flying away in the wind. I put a knot in them. It prevents wildlife from being endangered, and it also prevents at least some of them from blowing away in the wind. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me tell you who we'll have time to hear from tonight. Thank you, Ms. Harris. And then the rest, we will have another hearing work session on this. The people that I don't get to tonight, you'll be first at the next hearing. That will probably go on for a few hours as well. And at the next hearing, we will have some follow-up information from some of the questions that have come up tonight and from, I think, some of the questions council will have here at the close this evening. So it's, Leslie Fox, Kathy Flakas, Judy Soul, Ellen Vaughn, Jack Welch, Ashley Hearding. So Leslie Fox. Oh, okay. Kathy Flakas.
Whoops, sorry, I'm a little slow these days. My name is Kathy Flakas. I live at 1021 North Hopi. Been in Flagstaff since '72. So I have a good feeling for the town. I know where the recycling, the plastic bag recycling things are in the grocery stores. And so I think everybody here must be the ones that are recycling there, because I heard they only get 1% of the bags recycled. And I don't know how to increase that, because you have to remember to bring your bags back to the store. But that's no harder than bringing your recycling bag, your cloth bag, to the store to go shopping. So really, if you can remember to bring those bags to recycle them, you can remember to bring your cloth bag. I taught at Sonoma High School for 25 years. And one of the things I taught was environmental science. My students were really interested in the plastic bag issue. And for many years they researched it. Every year they had to do a research project. And one year they took it on big as a class. And they joined with the city recycling, or the city sustainability, and they went out and educated people. And they got bags and distributed them. And the students were really active, even at Earth Day, and had big presentations all over. But it seemed to have no effect on the amount of bags that were recycled, or to take away the problems that the bags cause in town. One of the things that really got to their hearts was when a Grand Canyon biologist came, and they asked him what they could do to help the Grand Canyon. And he looked at them and he said, never bring a plastic bag. He said, plastic bags are the #1 cause of death in our deer. And they don't even know what causes death in a lot of the other animals, like the sheep. And so, or they didn't, at that time, he didn't know. And so when they heard that the #1 thing they could do for the Grand Canyon was to never bring in a plastic bag, it really got to them. Because when we reuse plastic bags, one of the reuses is it's a lunch bag. But you take that as a lunch bag, and it still can end up in a deer's gut in the canyon. So there are many reasons to ban plastic bags. And I think that the problem, though, of plastic bags is a capitalist problem. The bags don't cost people anything. They're free bags, right? But there's a cost to society. And when we see something that's free, we don't value it enough to take care of it throughout its life. And so the capitalist problem means that we either have to charge enough for the bags that people do take care of them properly, or we have to ban them outright. So, thanks.
Judy Scholl.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. I rise today to oppose an ordinance by the City Council to ban plastic bags. It's not that I love plastic bags. I don't. Matter of fact, I've worked very hard over the past several years to reduce my use of them by converting to using handmade cloth bags, which I also sell in my business, and grocery totes, other items that I purchased or been given. I carry a supply with me, as the lady was just saying, wherever I go, and I have far fewer plastic bags to recycle at the grocery store. And these are washable. The ones that they give you for Earth Day or whatever are not. They will fall apart. I believe there is a negative connotation to the use of a ban to discourage people from using plastic bags. I would encourage the City Council to initiate a campaign to encourage residents and visitors to seek out and use alternatives, including publishing a list of resources in our community where alternatives can be purchased, to me, that would be a far better way to reduce plastic bag usage. In fact, I would go so far as to say that you could seek out bag manufacturers or start up bag companies to locate in our area. This would add jobs as well as produce a viable alternative to plastic bags, both in our community, but other communities that would buy the products produced by these companies. After all, we aren't the only community looking for ways to eliminate plastic bag usage. One thing I would like to note, I do bring my plastic bags back that I end up with, because there's things like I don't like to put meats directly into my bags, even though I wash them. If I recycle and I bring those bags back to the stores that are participating, inevitably those bins are full to overflowing with plastic bags. So there are people who are recycling their plastic bags. Maybe what we need to do is find out how we can get those bins emptied more frequently so that we've got room for more bags. Just one final note, let's look for the best way to reduce but not ban plastic bags. Educate, encourage, don't legislate. Thank you.
Thank you. Ellen Bond?
Hello. I'm Ellen Vaughn. Thank you for hearing us all today. I am NAU's Manager of Sustainability, and so I can give you a little bit more background on NAU's successful effort to bag bans, but I'm really here just as a resident of Flagstaff. I moved here 14 months ago because I love small, beautiful towns. And so before this, I was in Aspen for 2 years, Aspen, Colorado. And I was there for the first year where they were going into right what you guys are doing now, starting their first year of discussion before the ban and then the year after the ban. So I can talk about that too. Quickly, NAU in 2008, a group of just informed and concerned students and employees got together and approached our dining services company, Sodexo, to talk about all the negative externalities associated with plastic bag use on campus, regionally, and globally. So the company weighed all the pros and cons and made the decision to accept the proposal and bag bans. So if you're interested in a Flagstaff community, like Leah said, of 25,000 people approximately in Flagstaff across the street there that are making hundreds, if not 1,000 purchases a day and living without plastic bags, I can get you in touch with Sodexo's corporate relations individual and see if she's got any pros and cons to add to the conversation, see if there were any complaints or how much thousands of dollars they've saved by not doing that. And then in Aspen, I just want to say it was a big to-do. You guys might be going into a year of a lot of talk and discussion and of just tremendous amount of energy behind this issue. And then and they had a fee. The fee wasn't for getting the correct results. They implemented a ban, and then nothing really there was a ban, and it just wasn't that big of a deal. People adapted so quickly, and the businesses and the small and large businesses really just handled it. It really wasn't the end of the world. So whatever, if that happens here, don't be too scared. And I would also just like to say thank you to everyone here who spoke that's under the age of 30. I think almost all of them that I noticed maybe came out and are in support of a ban. And I know these individuals learn so much more nowadays in high school and in college about petrochemicals and fossil fuel negative externalities and global climate change and all these things. Then, and they're in the know and they care about their future. And I think it really says something that the mass voices that came out from that group and demographic. And then one final point, a lot of people mentioned that there's not just these plastic bags, but there's a variety of other plastic that is out there. Well, those are things that you can also use to pick up dog poop and, do the things that people were saying we need plastic bags for. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Jack? Sorry, no, you're good. Jack Welch?
I think all the points I could possibly make have been made, so I think.
Very good. All right, thank you. Ashley Hirding?
Hello, my name is Ashley Hooting. I understand the desire to control the amount of waste and litter around Flagstaff. However, imposing a ban on plastic bags is not the most efficient nor reasonable way to do it. In fact, I'm shocked that this is even on the agenda. There have been a wide range of surveys and research done on this matter in which most all conclude that citywide bans of plastic bags have little to no impact on overall litter. That was actually from an EPA report in 2011. So despite previous speakers, there is research showing that it's not the best solution. I believe that as our city leaders, you shouldn't mandate, but rather educate members of our community. Possible alternatives to banning plastic bags include emphasizing the importance of recycling or reusing our bags, encouraging use of other types of bags, and educating our community on the importance of our environment. Also, as some people have shown, you can wear the bags. That being said, we did not elect our city council to impose more unnecessary regulations, but rather to lead by example. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, let's first of all see, Mr. Milebeck, if we could schedule a work session for February 10th. It looks like there is not too much on the working calendar right now on that day. And I would then continue this hearing to that date. And in the meantime, Council, if you have some issues, questions, research, et cetera, that you would like staff to undertake, I think this would be a good time to let them know, and then they would have time before that date to get us some additional information. I have several, but I'll defer if anybody wants to go ahead. Ms. Brewster.
I had several emails concerning the environmental impact of making both plastic bags and also then the reusable bags, which in the end are environmentally safe because you're going to carry them back and forth and hopefully wash them between. But could you find out in the making of a cloth bag the environmental impacts as far as what it goes into making the cloth and that whole process, and then the same thing with the plastic bags? I'm just curious because the emails didn't go into great detail about that, and I was just curious as to, I know that the plastic is going to use probably petroleum products, and the others would use maybe cotton or fiber, but what is the energy use in making those? And is there any byproduct that's toxic? Of course, with the plastic, you know, it's petroleum. But anyway, I'm just curious as to that the comparison between the two. And you might want to include also the fact that you have to wash the one and you don't the other one. So there's going to be energy use and water use there too. So,
Mr. Orvitz?
I'll try to keep this brief. I got quite a few questions. First off, I really thank everybody who's voiced this issue. I got to tell you, it surprised me as to how passionate the community was about this issue. On all sides. We received a ton of emails. I think I've gotten hundreds, if not thousands, of comments in social media world on this subject. And tonight it was pretty even. A lot of people want this, a lot of people want that. Well, what I'd like to see is definitely more information. I'm kind of in the middle on this issue now. I've been pretty clear. I'm not in favor of a ban, but I'm also not in favor of not doing anything. I'm somewhere, can we look at these options in between? And I think some really interesting and creative, thoughtful ideas came up tonight from quite a few speakers. And what I'd like to see is some of those ideas pursued and to see if they're practical. You know, ideas are great, throw them up on the board and see what we come up with. Not all ideas pass muster in the end, but let's look at some of those. In particular, let me tell you what I'd like to see as far as more information. Expanding on what Councilwoman Brewster just said, I actually had a box of bags to bring tonight and I forgot them. And I've collected quite a few reusable bags over the years at different events, and unfortunately most of them, the vast majority of them, are not cloth. And what I feel happens a lot of times, and I'd like some information to back this up, is, you know, we go for the most cost-effective products. And what I found in my bag collection that my wife continues to expand in our closet, along with other things, is they're generally made 100% polypropylene, which is, of course, a petroleum-based or natural gas-based product. And they're generally, I couldn't find any of them made in the USA. And I've got to bring this up, our sustainability bags are 100%, the one I have from the sustainability program, 100% polypropylene, made in China. And that surprised me. And I wasn't paying attention to this issue until really the past couple months, or in particular the past couple weeks. So I did a lot of research. I've spent a lot of time on this, more time than I probably thought I ever would. But it surprised me. And then I started looking at so first thing I'd want to know is, what are the reusable bags that are being mostly used in communities? Is there any way to determine that? Because I'm seeing a lot of these made in China, 100% polypropylene. So what is the cost basis on those average bags for the business side of it to create them? What's the impact on those? A lot of them said they're not even washable. You can't even wash those. Now there's the cotton bag, and I appreciate Ms. Sal bringing in the cotton bag, which is washable. What is the cost on that? That is, and I think Councilwoman Brewster brings up a good point. Those are made of cotton, I would imagine, or some kind of product like that. Cotton, as we know, uses a ton of water. So what is the pluses and minuses of using those bags? I'd also like to know a little bit more about the what should we call them, point of sale bags, quote unquote, once use bags. Obviously those are made of some kind of natural gas derivative, and I'd like to see, you know, from what I'm seeing, most of those are made in the USA. At least the ones I'm getting from our local stores, they all say made in the USA. So what are those impacts? So that's one thing. I would like to further pursue, and I think Rob Wilson brought up a great idea, a simple idea. I don't know if it's practical, but I think we should pursue it. The bag in the bag. We've got band to bag, we've got bag to band, and maybe we can have bag to bag. Can we put these back? I mean, we have curbside pickup for our recycle items. Can we put a bunch of bags in a bag, or some kind of system that goes in that same bag that then gets dumped at the facility? Is there any merit to that? Is there any practicality to doing that? And then when that's dumped, is it easier to pull out? Obviously, that requires several other steps, which is, first of all, storing them. Well, first of all, sorting them, storing them, so having the equipment that'll compact them. So what are the steps involved to get them? And what are the end delivery points? Where can we bring these bags to? Trex plant was mentioned, other products. You know all these different products that are made from these. Is that feasible? Is it going to cost $1.5 million, or is it somewhere much lower if we look at this? And is there a return on that that comes back that helps offset those costs? So let's look into that. I'm almost there. I know it's been a long night. And then looking into those partnerships with the recycle places or the Trex plant or the whatever we use these products for. I had a lot of people comment to me, and since we don't recycle these bags right now, and I appreciate that recycle container we got, but during this whole process, I had a lot of comments from various people that the recycle snorting on Butler, right, so that's what it's called, is locked. And people are driving over there and just trying to bring general items over there, and they come up to a locked gate. So that's kind of frustrating, I think, for folks who are actually trying to do something and maybe get frustrated and then go throw out general products in general. So that's kind of a sidebar as to why is that facility locked. I'd also like to see, can we offer...
I'm sorry, just for clarification, locked during the day?
No, in the evening.
In the evening.
And I get it.
Operational hours.
But it's
Okay.
frustrating because a lot of people are working during the day, and they're going to try to bring their product over there or whatever they're recycling, whether it be these plastics or cardboard or whatever, and they're going there and it's locked, and then they go home and probably throw it out. So how do we resolve that issue? How do we offer more recycle options in our city facilities? I know we have nowhere to bring these plastic bags right now. But can we partner up with the grocery stores that have the program and get them in the container that was provided tonight or similar containers and then bring them over there? Is there any kind of relationship like that? So in short, I'll stop, but I think there's points in between. The ban, I don't think we're there yet. And the do nothing, we're not there. How do we come together in the middle? You can see there's a diverse range of opinions in the community on this issue and pretty passionate. So let's see what we can do and have another meeting.
Ms. Evans?
So I just want to make sure that I understand something, and then I do have 2 information requests. Okay? So right now, our current recycle facility does not take these bags.
Correct.
So while they might be recyclable, they do not take these bags. One of the reasons is because it's not equipped to actually handle these bags and would require a $1.5 million upgrade in order to do so. The second reason is when you went to talk to them about it, they said it's not economically viable for them to actually recycle these bags because the location where the bags need to go is too far away. So I just want to make sure that I understand that. Is that correct?
Mayor and Council, the $1.5 million is to establish a curbside residential plastic bag recycling program. So that includes upgrades to the facility at Norton, but it also includes a hiring of city staff to drive a truck. So it's the whole residential recycling program that would be required. The upgrades to the Norton facility independently, I will confirm these numbers with Ray Sellers, but it's in the hundreds of thousands.
And also, maybe you can confirm with him, so even if they upgraded the facility, they're not really interested in recycling these bags because the market is too far away for them. Is that correct or not correct?
My conversations, Mayor and Council, with Ray and looking at data is that right now recycling markets are too far away to create a viable residential recycling program for the city of Flagstaff.
Okay. And the reason why they're being called single-use bags, is that the term that the industry uses?
Mayor and Council, yes, that's just been a term that's been used in the industry that's shifted. As I mentioned in my presentation, we focus on carry-out plastic bags at point of sale because it does seem to encourage divisiveness on the dialogue, regarding the dialogue. And one final point, just for clarification, the current contract with Norton does not include plastic bags.
Okay, and so that was the third thing. The current contract that we have with Norton doesn't include them actually recycling these bags. So if we wanted Norton to recycle these bags, even if we all filled up several containers worth of bags, we still would have to change the contract with Norton, so they would accept it, figure out how to upgrade or retrofit their facility, and then if we were interested in actually doing it as a city project, we would have to figure out how to go around to everyone's house and collect these bags. Okay, so even though the bags are technically recyclable, there's a whole bunch of other issues as to why we're not collecting these bags.
Correct.
Okay, so I guess these are the 2 questions that I'd be interested in having as we move forward. We've heard a lot of people talk about the concept of education and that we need to do more of it, but understanding that this is truly never, I mean, we just got done doing our budget, or we just got done doing our council priorities. I've been on council several years. Council priorities dictate how funding is spent, and this has never been a council priority. So in understanding that a large segment of the community is saying that we need to educate, I'd actually like to know how much that would really cost. I would like to know what successful recycling programs are out there, and I'm talking about recycling in general, because that's something else that people came up with, is that we need to talk about recycling in a broader sense. So what successful recycling programs are out there, how are they funded, and what are their budgets? Specifically, if we can narrow that, because I think you guys are going to get a lot of information for request for information, specifically narrow that to cities that have a successful and an impactful either stop the bags, bag the bags, whatever they're doing with the bags. Okay, so anything that has something to do with these plastic bags and this issue, what do their programs look like? How are they funded? What does their budget look like? Programs that are impactful. Since that seems to be something people are interested in, is more education, I want to see, I want to see what that cost and where the funding stream is for that.
Okay.
I'm also interested in learning how many stores here in Flagstaff actually provide cash incentives for people who bring their own bag. I know at least the store that I go to, if I bring my bag, I actually get money back on my groceries. So I'd like to better understand what stores here in Flagstaff actually offer a cash incentive for people to bring their own bags.
And for clarification, those are stores outside of the Bag Central Station program?
I know that Albertsons gives you, if you bring your bags, you get a credit. You get like a 5-cent credit.
Currently, yeah, the only stores that participate in Bag Central Station that give incentives are Albertsons and Sprouts. All the other stores do not.
Okay, and so I guess maybe a follow-up question to that. So are there stores outside of Bag Central Station that give credits?
We'll need to research that.
Right. And then maybe, I'm not sure if there's enough time to do this, but we're saying that there's 9 stores that participate in this Bag Central program. Maybe there's a way to actually measure their participation. I think that would be helpful. Do they just have the stations out there? Are they actually participating? I don't know how to judge that.
We'll provide data from our assessments that we do of those stores.
Okay. I guess my question would be, what's the cost to the store of a paper bag versus a plastic bag? And can the paper bags, are they being recycled? Because one of my concerns is we have 2 problems here, paper and plastic. And I don't want to solve one problem to make the other problem twice as bad. And so I would like some more information on paper versus plastic. I would like to know how many households there are in Flagstaff. Probably the water department can tell us that. And how many households now are bringing their own bags? What's our best estimate? And because what I'm trying to get at is if 50% of the people are against plastic bags, are they bringing their own bag? Are 50% of the people in Flagstaff bringing their own bags now? And if not, do we know why not? I'm just asking the questions. And if you could find out, I noticed somebody gave me an article that a year ago Tucson addressed this issue and went with a voluntary kind of education, consumer education program instead of any mandates. And I'm wondering what has happened in Tucson, if you can find out. Any other questions? As if poor Nicole doesn't have enough. Ms. Putzeva.
I just want to make a comment. I don't really have a question. I think you get a lot. It just feels to me like we are trying to reinvent the wheel. And, I know that the questions that you received probably will take up all your time and, cost us a lot of money. So I just would like all of us to think about that we are not the first community dealing with the issue. And really we should try to look at the model communities that were successful and what they did. So that's all.
Okay, then this item is continued to February, did I say February 10th?
Yeah, Mayor, if we could talk about that for a second. February 10th is open right now, but that's also the week that there's a 2-day budget retreat, and thought that that might be a reason that we wanted to keep that work session day, February 10th, clear. The other reason I would suggest that is as has been pointed out, there's a lot of questions for Nicole to do research on. And if staff could have some more time, we could probably do a more thorough job of answering these questions and bringing them back to you, bringing back answers.
All right, then I will leave it up to you and the staff to pick a good date and schedule it, but we definitely want to let all interested parties know is in many ways as possible what the new date is.
And we will commit to getting that word out and doing it relatively soon.
Okay. I don't want to forget all of the comments and questions by the time we get back to it again. So that's my concern.
Understood.
Okay, Ms. Evans?
And so I would just add to that we're actually cutting off public participation at 9 o'clock. And so if the longer we extend the time out, I want to make sure that the people who are still here, who have waited, who have cards in, get to speak and are notified of the date that they get to speak. So I don't know if their names or their addresses are on those cards, but I really think that they should get a direct phone call or a direct letter or email letting them know when they will be here to speak. I don't think they should have to chase that information around because they were here tonight.
Okay, and I've got those separated right here with a note on it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, that concludes this issue for right now. And we will come back to it. So as they say, stay tuned.
Nicole.
That's endurance.
Nothing. Couple items. Thank you. Come back, I guess. Did you want to talk? No. Everybody's leaving. Here with my son's a scout. His name is community and citizenship badge.